Translation of the Washington Group Question Sets Part 2. Best Practices for Translation.
In the previous video on the importance of good translation of the Washington Group question sets, we established the importance of accurately translating concepts rather than individual words. We also learned that the Washington Group translation guidelines are based on the TRAP method for translation. This qualitative method assures that the intended concepts are reflected in the final translation.
This method uses the translation cards, which provide the translators with the information about the purpose of the question, the particular wording, and main concepts being measured by that question. The process should include at least 2 translators, who should work separately to translate the questions. The translators should also have a very good knowledge of the English language, an excellent command of the target language, and knowledge of the subject matter. Also, knowledge of the culture of the population is critical to ensure the cultural sensitivity of the translation. In the process, the translators should consider the following questions. What is the best way to translate the word, phrase, or question? Will respondents understand the question as intended? Is the language appropriate for the audience? Are the nuances of the original text maintained in the translation? Does the wording sound natural? And will the response choices be understood as intended in the original? Once the translations are finished, the translators can meet to discuss differences and come to an agreement. In addition, a person who is part of the translation team, but is not directly involved in creating either of the translations, should review the final translation and help to resolve any differences. This will help to ensure the translations have captured the intent of the original questions.
After the translation is finalized, it must be tested. Even carefully translated questions can introduce errors, which can considerably change question response validity. The testing is done by means of cognitive interviewing, which consists of asking a selected group of respondents a set of questions, and then asking them to explain their understanding of the question and how they determined their responses. It is important for the interviewers to obtain enough information from respondents to determine if the translated questions were understood as intended, and if the responses reflect that understanding. If problems are found with the translation, the questions are modified, and the testing is repeated. The selection of respondents should correspond to the target audience, and it should include those with different genders, education levels, socioeconomic characteristics, and levels of functional difficulties. Respondents should include those with and without difficulties in as many functional domains as possible. The interviewers should have experience in qualitative testing. They should be fluent speakers of the target language and know the culture of the target audience very well.
Because the validity of data depends on whether the questions are capturing the intended concepts, software translations, as well as interviewers translating at the same time as the interview is conducted, should be avoided. However, there are certain situations where timing is an issue, or where the interviews will be conducted in so many languages that it is not possible to conduct formal translation for all of the languages. In such cases, an emergency protocol is needed. One option is to have all the enumerators who will be interviewing using the same language get together to form a small team. This team should discuss and agree upon a common translation, one using the best practices described for translation in general. They should then test their translation to the extent possible in the given situation. Doing this will reduce variability among enumerators and improve overall data quality. If there is no possibility to form a team of enumerators, then they should follow best translation practices when developing their individual translations.
The Washington Group tools consist of carefully constructed and tested questions and response categories. When translation is done appropriately and using the recommended methodology, the resulting data provided by the tools will be valid, accurate, and comparable to other countries. For more information on the Washington Group on disability statistics and the questions translation specifications, visit washingtongroup-disability.com.